a desire to hear in detail the history of the acquisition of weapons by Arjuna of spotless deeds. Tell me how that tiger among men, the Dhananjaya of mighty arms and possessed of great energy, entered that solitary forest without fear. And what did Arjuna do while dwelling there? How were the illustrious city Hanu and the chief of the celestials gratified by him? I desire to hear all this under thy favor. Thou art omniscient, thou knowest all about the gods and all about men. The battle that took place of old between Arjuna, that foremost of smithers, never defeated impotently, and Bihava was highly extraordinary and without parallel. It maketh on her stand on end to hear of it. Even the hearts of those lions among men, the brave sons of Pritha, trembled in consequence of wonder and joy, and the sense of their own inferiority. Tell me in full what else Arjuna did. I do not see even the most trivial thing in Jisnu that is censurable. Therefore, recite to me in full the history of that hero. I shall recite to thee that narration excellent and extensive and unrivaled in connection with the illustrious hero. Here in detail the particulars about Arjuna meeting with the three-eyed god of gods and his contact with the illustrious god's person. At the hero command, the Dhananjaya of immeasurable prowess set out to obtain a sight of Sakra, the chief of the celestials, and of Sankara, the god of gods. And the strong-armed Arjuna of great might set out armed with his celestial bow and a sword with golden hilt. For the success of the object he had in view, northwards towards the summit of the Himavat. And that first of all warriors in the three worlds, the son of Indra, with a calm mind and firmly adhering to his purpose, then devoted himself without the loss of any time to ascetic austerities, and he entered all alone the terrible forest, abounding with thorn plants and trees and flowers and fruits of various kinds, and inhabited by winged creatures of various species, and swarming with animals of diverse kinds, and resorted to by siddhas and haranas. And when the son of Kunti entered that forest destitute of human beings, sounds of conchs and drums began to be heard in the heavens, and a thick shower of flowers fell upon the earth, and the clouds spreading over the firmament caused a thick shade. Passing over those difficult and wood regions at the foot of the great mountains, Arjuna soon reached the breast of the Himavat, and staying there for some time began to shine in his brilliance. And he beheld there numerous trees with expanding verdure, resounding with the melodious notes of winged warblers, and he saw there rivers with currents of the lapis lazuli, broken by the fierce eddies here and there, and echoing with the notes of swans and ducks and cranes. And the banks of those rivers resounded with the mellifluous strains of the male cockylas, and the notes of peacocks and cranes. And the mighty warrior, beholding those rivers of sacred and pure and delicious water and their charming banks, became highly delighted. And the delighted Arjuna of fierce energy and high soul then devoted himself to rigid austerities in that delightful and wood region, clad in hags made of grass and furnished with a black deer skin and a stick. He commenced to eat with red leaves fallen upon the ground, and he passed the first month by eating fruits at the interval of 3 nights, and the second by eating at the interval of the 6 nights, and the third by eating at the interval of a fortnight. When the 4th month came, that best of the Piharatas, the strong-armed son of Pandu, began to subsist on air alone, with arms upraised, and leaning upon nothing, and standing on the tips of his toes, he continued his austerities, and the illustrious hero Locks, in consequence of frequent bathing, took the hue of lightning or the lotus. Then all the great riches went together unto the god of the Pinaka, for representing unto him about the fierce asceticism of Prithiha's son, and bowing unto that god of gods, they informed him of Arjuna austerities, saying, the son of Prithiha, possessed of great energy, is engaged in the most difficult of ascetic austerities on the breast of the Himavat. He attacked with his asceticism. The earth is smoking all round. We do not know what his object is for which he is engaged in these austerities. He, however, is causing us pain. It behoveth thee to prevent him. Hearing these words of those moonings, with souls under perfect control, the Lord of all creatures, the husband of Uma, said, it behoveth you not to indulge in any grief on account of Vihalguna. Return ye all, cheerful and with alacrity, to the place whence ye have come, and know the desire that is in Arjuna's heart. His wish is not for heaven, nor for prosperity, nor for long life, and I will accomplish, even this day, all that is desired by him. The truth-speaking rishis, having heard these words of Mahadeva, became delighted, and returned to their respective abodes. After all those illustrious ascetics had gone away, that wielder of the Pinaka and cleanser of all things, the illustrious Hara, assuming the form of a Kairata, resplendent as a golden tree, and with a hug and stalwart form like a second Meru, and taking up a handsome bow and a number of arrows, resembling snakes of virulent poison, and looking like an embodiment of fire, came quickly down on the breast of Himavat. And the handsome god of gods was accompanied by Uma, in the guise of a Kairata woman, and by a swarm of mere spirits of various forms and attire, and by thousands of women in the form of attire of Kairatas, and that region suddenly blazed up in beauty in consequence of the arrival of the god of gods in such company, and soon nog a solemn stillness pervaded the place. The sounds of springs and watercourses and of birds suddenly ceased, and as the god of gods approached Prithiha's son of blameless deeds, he beheld a wonderful sight, even that of a Danava named Mukha, seeking in the form of a boar to slay Arjuna. Vihalguna, at the sight of the enemy seeking to slay him, took up the Gandiva and a number of arrows, resembling snakes of virulent poison, and stringing his bow and filling the air with its tongue, he addressed the boar and said, I have come here, done thee no injury. As thou seekest to slay me, I shall certainly send thee to the abode of Yama. And beholding that firm wielder of the bow, Vihalguna, about to slay the boar, Sankara, in the guise of a Kairata, suddenly bade him stop, saying, the boar, like the mountain of Indrakila, in whom hath been aimed at by me first. Vihalguna, however, disregarding these words, struck the boar. The Kairata, of blazing splendor, let fly an arrow like flaming fire, and resembling the thunderbolt at the same object. And the arrows thus shot by both fell at the same instant of time upon the white body of Mukha, hard as adamant. And the two shafts fell upon the boar with a loud sound, even like that of Indra thunderbolt, and the thunder of the clouds falling together upon the breast of a mountain. And Mukha, thus struck by two shafts which produced numerous arrows, resembling snakes of blazing mouths, yielded up his life, assuming once more his terribly Rakshasa form, Jisnu, that slayer of foes, then beheld before him that person of form blazing as a gold, and attired in the dress of a Kairata, and accompanied by many women, and beholding him, the son of Kunti, with a joyous heart, addressed him smilingly, and said, "Who art thou that thus wanderest in this solitary wood, surrounded by women? Art thou not afraid of this terribly forest? Why, again, didst thou shoot the boar that was first aimed at by me? This Hakishasa that came hither listlessly, or with the object of slaying me, had been first aimed at by me. Thou shalt not, therefore, escape from me with life. Thy behavior towards me is not consistent with the customs of the chase. Therefore, I will take thy life." Thus addressed by the son of Pandu, the Kairata, smiling, replied unto him, capable of yielding the bow with his left hand, in soft words, saying, "Thou needst not be anxious on my account. This forest land is proper abode for us, who always dwell in the woods. Respecting thyself, however, I may inquire why thou hast selected thy abode here amid such difficulties. We have our habitation in these woods, abounding in animals of all kinds. Why dost thou, so delicate and brought up in luxury and possessed of the splendor of fire, dwell alone in such a solitary region?" Arjuna said, "Depending on the Gandiva and arrows blazing like fire, I live in this great forest like a second Pavaki. Thou hast seen how these monsters, this terrible Hakishasa that came hither in the form of an animal, have been slain by me." The Kairata replied, "This Hakishasa, first struck with the shafts shot from my bow, was killed and sent to the regions of Yama by me. He was first aimed at by me, and it is with my shot that he has been deprived of life. Proud of thy strength, it behoveth thee not to impute thy own fault to others. Thou art thyself in fault, and therefore shalt not escape from me with life. Stay thou, I will shoot at thee shafts like thunderbolts. Strive thou, and shoot, to the best of thy power, thy arrows at me." Hearing these words of the Kairata, Arjuna became angry and attacked him with arrows. The Kairata, however, with a glad heart, received out those shafts upon himself, repeatedly saying, "Wretch, shoot thou thy best arrows capable of piercing into the very vitals." Thus addressed, Arjuna began to shower his arrows on him. Both of them then became angry, and engaging in fierce conflict, began to shoot at each other showers of arrows, each resembling a snake of virulent poison. In Arjuna reigned a perfect shower of arrows on the Kairata. Sankara, however, bore that downpour on him with a cheerful heart. The wielder of the Pinaka, having borne that shower of arrows for a moment, stood unwounded, immovably like a hill. The Dhananjaya, beholding his arrowy shower become futile, wondered exceedingly, repeatedly saying, "Excellent." This Montana of delicate limbs, dwelling on the heights of the Himavat, beareth without wavering the shafts shot from the Gandiva. Who is he? Is he Rudra himself, or some other god, or a Yaksha, or an Asura? The gods sometime do descend on the heights of the Himavat. Except the god who yieldeth the Pinaka, there is none else that can bear the impetuosity of the thousands of arrows shot by me from the Gandiva. Whether he is a god or a Yaksha, in fact, anybody except Rudra, I shall soon send him with my shafts to the regions of Yama. Thus thinking, Arjuna, with a cheerful heart, began to shoot arrows by hundreds, assembling in splendor the rays of the sun. The downpour of shafts, however, the illustrious creator of the wars, the wielder of the trident, bore with a glad heart, like a mountain bearing a shower of hawks. Soon, however, the arrows of Pihalguna were exhausted, and noticing this fact, Arjuna became greatly alarmed, and the son of Pandu then began to think of the illustrious god Agni, who had before, during the burning of the Kihandava, given him a couple of inexhaustible quivers, and he began to think, my arrows are all exhausted, what shall I shoot now from my bow? Who is this person that swalloweth my arrows, slaying him with the end of my bow? As elephants are killed with lances, I shall send him to the domains of the mace-bearing Yama. The illustrious Arjuna, then taking up his bow and dragging the Kairata with his bowstring, struck him some fierce blows that descended like thunderbolts. When, however, that slayer of hostile heroes, the son of Kunti, commenced the conflict with the end of the bow, the mountaineer snatched from his hands that celestial bow, and beholding his bow snatched from him, Arjuna took up his sword, and wishing to end the conflict, rushed at his foe, and then the Kuru prince, with the whole might of his arms, struck that sharp weapon upon the head of the Kairata, a weapon that was incapable of being resisted even by solid hawks. That first of swords, a torch of the Kairata crown, broke into pieces. Pihalguna then commenced the conflict with trees and stones. The illustrious god in the form of the hook-bodied Kairata, however, bore that shower of trees and rocks with patience. The mighty son of Pritha, then his mouth smoking with wrath, struck the invincible god in the form of a Kairata with his clenched fists, blows that descended like thunderbolts. The god in the Kairata form returned Pihalguna blows with fierce blows, resembling the thunderbolts of Indra. And in consequence of that conflict of blows between the son of Pandu and the Kairata, there arose in that place loud and frightful sounds, that terrible conflict of blows resembling the conflict of yore between Vritra and Vasava. Lasted for a moment. The mighty Jisnu, clasping the Kairata, began to press him with his breast. The Kairata, possessed of great strength, possessed the insensible son of Pandu with force, and in consequence of the pressure of their arms and of their breasts, their bodies began to emit smoke like charcoal in fire. The great god then is meeting the already smitten son of Pandu and attacking him in anger with his full might, deprived him of his senses. Then Pihalguna, thus pressed by the god of the gods, with limbs besides bruised and mangled, became incapable of motion, and was almost reduced to a ball of flesh. And struck by the illustrious god, he became breathless and falling down on earth without power of moving, looked like one that was dead. Soon he regained consciousness, and rising from his prostrate position, with body covered with blood, became filled with grief, mentally prostrating himself before the gracious god of gods, and making a clay image of that deity. He worshipped it with offerings of floral garlands. Beholding, however, the garland that he had offered to the clay image of Bihava, decking the crown of the Kairata, that best of Pandu's sons became filled with joy and regained his ease. and he prostrated himself thereupon of the feet of Bihava, and the god was pleased with him. And Hara, beholding the wonder of Arjuna, and seeing that his body had been emaciated with ascetic austerities, he spake unto him in a voice deep as the roaring of the clouds, saying, I have been pleased with thee, for thy act is without a parallel. There is no Kshatriya who is equal to thee in courage and patience, and thy strength and prowess are almost equal to mine. I have been pleased with thee. Behold me, I will grant thee eyes. Thou wert a Gish before, thou wilt vanquish all thy foes, even the dwellers of heaven. I will, as I have been pleased with thee, grant thee an irresistible weapon. Soon shalt thou be able to yield that weapon of mine. Pihalguna then beheld him, Mahadeva, that god of blazing splendor, that elder of the Pinaka, that one who had his abode on the mountains, accompanied by Unma, bending down on his knee and bowing with his head, that conqueror of hostile cities, the son of Pritha, worshipped Hara and inclined him to grace. And Arjuna said, Kapardin, chief of all gods, destroyer of the eyes of Bhaga, god of gods, Mahadeva, thou of blue throat, thou of matted locks, I know thee as the cause of all causes, thou of 3 eyes, lord of all, thou art the refuge of all the gods. This universe hath sprung from thee. Thou art incapable of being vanquished by the 3 worlds of the celestials. Thou art Shiva in the form of Vishnu, and Vishnu in the form of Shiva. Thou destroyedst of old the great sacrifice of Daksha. I bow to thee. Thou hast an eye on thy forehead, that rainless objects of desire, bearer of the trident, yielder of the Pinaka. I bow to thee. I worship thee to obtain thy grace. Thou art the Lord of the gods, the source of universal blessing, the cause of the causes of the universe. Thou art beyond the foremost of male beings. Thou art the highest. Thou art the subtlest. It behoveth thee to pardon my fault. It was even to obtain a sight of thyself that I came to this great mountain, which is dear to thee and which is the excellent abode of ascetics. Thou art worshipped of all worlds. I worship thee to obtain thy grace. Let not this harshness of mine be regarded as a fault. This combat in which I was engaged with thee from ignorance, I seek thy protection. Pardon me all I have done. And with great might, the god whose sign was the bull, taking into his the handsome hands of Arjuna, smiling replied unto him, saying, I have pardoned thee. And the illustrious Hara, cheerful clasping Arjuna with his arms, once more consoling Arjuna, said as follows, Thou wert in thy former life Nara, the friend of Narayana. In Vadari wert thou engaged in fierce ascetic austerities for several thousands of years. In these, as well as in Vishnu, that first of made beings, dwelleth great might. Ye both, by your might, hold the universe, taking up that fierce bow whose tongue resembled the deep roar of the clouds. Thou, as well as Krishna, chastisedst the Danavas during the coronation of Indra. Even this Gandiva is that bow, fit for thy hands. I snatched it from thee, helped by my powers of illusion. This coupling of givers fit for thee will again be inexhaustibly. Thy body will be free from pain and disease. Thy prowess is incapably of being baffled. I have been pleased with thee. Ask thou of me the boon that thou desirest. Not even in heaven is there any male being who is equal to thee, nor any Kshatriya who is thy superior. Arjuna said, Illustrious God, having the bull for thy sign, if thou wilt grant me my desire, I ask of thee that fierce celestial weapon wielded by thee and called Brahmasira, that weapon of terrible prowess which destroyeth at the end of the Yuga the entire universe, that weapon by the help of which I may, under thy grace, obtain victory in the terrible conflict which shall take place between myself and Karna and Bhishma and Kripa and Drona, that weapon by which I may consume impatiently the Navas and Rakshasas and evil spirits and Pisakhas and Gandharvas and Nagas, that weapon which, when hurled with mantras, produceth dust by thousands, and fierce-looking maces and arrows like snakes of virulent poison, and by means of which I may fight with Bhishma, and Drona, and Kripa, and Karna, of our abusive tongue. Illustrious destroyer of the eyes of Bhaga, even this is my foremost desire, that I may be able to fight with them and obtain success. Bhava replied, I will give thee that favorite weapon of mine called the Pasupata. Thou art capable of holding, hurling, and withdrawing it. Neither the chief himself of the gods, nor Yama, nor the king of the Yakshas, nor Varuna, nor Vayu knoweth it. How could men know anything of it? This weapon should not be hurled without adequate cause, for if hurled at any foe of little might, it may destroy the whole universe. In the three worlds, with all their mobile and immobile creatures, there is none who is incapable of being slain by this weapon, and it may be hurled by the mind, by the eye, by words, and by the bow. Hearing these words, the son of Pritha purified himself, and approaching the Lord of the universe with rapt attention, he said, Instruct me. Mahadeva then imparted unto that best of Pandu's son the knowledge of that weapon, looking like the embodiment of Yama, together with all the mysteries about hurling and withdrawing it. And that weapon thence began to wait upon Arjuna, as it did upon Sankara, the lord of Uma. And Arjuna gladly accepted it, and at the moment the whole earth, with its mountains and woods and trees and soils and forests and villages and towns and mines trembled, and the sounds of gongs and drums and trumpets by thousands began to be heard, and at that moment hurricanes and whirlwinds began to blow, and the gods and the Danavas beheld that terrible weapon in its embodied from stay by the side of Arjuna of immeasurable energy. And whatever of evil there had been in the body of Pichalguna of immeasurable energy was all dispelled by the touch of the three-eyed deity, and the three-eyed god then commanded Arjuna, saying, Go thou into heaven. Arjuna then, worshipping the god with bent head, gazed at him with joined hands. Then the Lord of all the dwellers of heaven, the deity of blazing splendor, having his abode on mountain breast, the husband of Uma, the god of passions under complete control, the source of all blessings, Bhava gave unto Arjuna, that foremost of men, the great bow called Gandiva, destructive of the Navas and Pisakhas. And the god of gods, then leaving that blessed mountain with snow plateaus and valleys and caves, favorite resort of sky-ranging great riches, went up, accompanied by Uma, into the skies, in the sight of that foremost of men. The wielder of the pinaca, having the bull for his sign, thus disappeared in the very sight of the gazing son of Pandu, like the sun setting in the sight of the world. Arjuna, that slayer of hostile heroes, wondered much at this, saying, I have seen the great God of gods. Fortunate in thee I am, and much favored, for I have both beheld and touched with my hand the three-eyed Hara, the wielder of the pinaca, in his bone-giving form. I shall win success. I am already great. My enemies have already been vanquished by me. My purposes have been already achieved. And while the son of Pritha, endowed with immeasurable energy, was speaking thus, there came to that place Varuna, the god of waters, handsome and of the splendor of the lapis lazuli, accompanied by all kinds of aquatic creatures, and filling all the points of the horizon with a blazing effulgence, and accompanied by rivers, both male and female, and Nagas, and Aitias, and Sadhyas, and inferior deities. Varuna, the controller and lord of all aquatic creatures, arrived at that spot. There came the Lord Kuvera of Bodh assembling pure gold, seated on his car of great splendor, and accompanied by numerous Yakishas. And the Lord of Treasuries, possessed of great beauty, came there to see Arjuna, illuminating the firmament with his effulgence. And there came Yama himself, of great beauty, the powerful destroyer of all the world, accompanied by those laws of the creation, the Pitris, both embodied and disembodied. And the god of justice, of inconceivable soul, the son of Surya, the destroyer of all creatures, with the mace in hand, came there on his car, illuminating the three worlds with the regions of the Guhyakas, the Gandhiharvas, and the Nagas, like a second Surya, as he riseth at the end of the Yuga. Having arrived there, they beheld from the effulgent and variegated summits of the great mountain Arjuna engaged in ascetic austerities. And there came in a moment the illustrious Sakra, accompanied by his queen, seated on the back of Airavata and surrounded by all the deities. And in consequence of the white umbrella being held over his head, he looked like the moon amid fleece clouds, and elogized by Gandhiharvas and Rishis, and with an wealth of asceticism. The chief of the celestials alighted on a particular summit of the mountain like a second sun. Then Yama, possessed of great intelligence and full conversant with virtue, who had occupied a summit on the south, in a voice deep as that of the clouds, said these auspicious words: Arjuna, behold us, the protector of the worlds, arrive here. We will grant thee vision, for thou deservest to behold us. Thou art in thy former life a riche of immeasurable soul, known as Nara, of great might. At the command of Brahma thou hast been born among men. But thee shall be vanquished in battle the high virtuous grandsire of the Kurus, Bhishma of great energy, who is born of the Vasus. Thou shalt defeat all the Kshatriya of fiery energy, commanded by the son of Viharadivaja in battle. Thou shalt defeat those Danavas of fierce prowess that have been born amongst men, and those Danavas that are called Nivatakavakhas. And thou shalt slay Karna of fierce prowess, who is even a portion of my father Surya, of energy celebrated throughout the world. And thou shalt slay all the portions of celestials and Danavas and the Rakshasas that have been incarnate on earth, and slay by thee these shall attain to the regions earned by them according to their acts, and the fame of thy achievements will last forever in the world. Thou hast gratified Mahadeva himself in conflict. Thou shalt with Vishnu himself lighten the burden of the earth. Accept this weapon of mine, the mace I yelled, incapable of being baffled by anybody. With this weapon thou wilt achieve great deeds. The son of Pritha then received from Niyama that weapon duly, along with the mantras and rites and the mysteries of holding and withdrawing it. Then Varuna, the lord of our aquatic creatures, blew as the clouds from a summit he had occupied on the west, uttered these words: Thou art the foremost of Kshatriyas, and engaged in Kshatriyas practices. Behold me, I am Varuna, the lord of waters, who led by me Manusas are incapable of being resisted. Accept of me these Varuna weapons, along with the mysteries of holding and withdrawing them. With these, in battle that ensued of yore on account of Taraka, thousands of my deities were seized and tired. Accept them of me, even if Yama himself by thy foe, with these in thy hands, he will not be able to escape from thee. When thou wilt armed with these hands over the field of battle, the land, beyond doubt, will be destitute of Kshatriyas. After both Varuna and Yama had given away their celestial weapons, the Lord of Treasuries, having his home on the heights of Kairata, then spake: Thou of great might and wisdom, I too have been pleased with thee, and this meeting with thee giveth me as much pleasure as a meeting with Krishna. Thou of might arms, thou art a god before, eternal. In ancient kalpas, thou hast every day gone through ascetic austerities along with us. I grant thee celestial vision. Thou wilt defeat even invincible deities and Danavas. Accept of me, without loss of time, an excellent weapon. With this thou wilt be able to consume the ranks of Dhritarashtra. Take then this favorite weapon of mine, called Antardihana, and with energy and prowess and splendor, it is capable of sending the foe to sleep. When the illustrious Sankara slew Tripura, even this was the weapon which he shot, and by which men-might Asuras were consumed. I take it up for giving it to thee, and with the dignity of the Meru, thou art competent to hold this weapon. After these words had been spoken, the Kuru prince Arjuna, endowed with great strength, duly received from Kuvera that celestial weapon. Then the chief of the celestials, addressing Pritha son of ceaseless deeds in sweet words, said, in a voice deep as that of the clowns or the kettle drum: Thou might-armed son of Kunti, thou art an ancient god. Thou hast already achieved the highest success, and acquired the status of a god. Thou hast yet to accomplish the purpose of the gods. Thou must ascend to heaven. Therefore, prepare thou. My own car with Matali, a chariota, will soon descend on the earth, taking thee to heaven. I will grant thee there all my celestial weapons. Beholding those protectors of the worlds assembled together on the heights of Himavat, the Dhananjaya, the son of Kunti, wondered much, and with great energy. He then duly worshipped the assembled Lokapalas with words, Vada, and fruits. The celestials then returning that worship went away, and the gods capable of going everywhere at will and ended with the speed of the mind returned to the places whence they had come. That bull among men, Arjuna, having obtained the weapons, thus was filled with pleasure, and he regarded himself as one whose desires had been fulfilled and who was crowned with success.